Recently, Elon Musk warned the world about what could happen if the Euphrates River dried up. Many people have been searching Google for information about the Euphrates, as it is one of the world's most important rivers. But why is this happening? The Bible says that the end of the world will come when the Euphrates dries up. What did Musk mean by, "We need to be careful"? This is exactly what we'll explore in this video. Elon Musk continues to alert people about future threats and dangers. He has warned us that the Euphrates might dry up. There's a saying that when the tide rises, all houses float, indicating that this could affect the entire world. The Euphrates River is a natural landmark that marks where an important moment in history happened. We are trying to show how everything happening with the river aligns with biblical events so that you can see this research has been done and not be alarmed. This has been the truth since Jesus Christ said that only God knows when his second coming will be, and that a new generation will be born. Many have predicted when this will occur. God's final judgment is near, likely in our lifetime, so be prepared. In recent weeks, new theories pointing to the end of the world have emerged. Many people have been intensely discussing prophecies on the internet, in discussion groups, and in churches. But why does everyone seem so scared? To understand this, we need to talk about the Euphrates River. Many cultures grew along the Euphrates. One of the most important civilizations was Mesopotamia, located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, currently in Iraq. The Euphrates River is the longest in Western Asia, stretching 2,800 km, starting in Turkey and passing through Syria and Iraq before reaching the Persian Gulf. The Euphrates region has a variety of plants, and most of the areas around the river have been altered over thousands of years, but there is still ancient vegetation. Most of the river's water comes from rain and melting snow, peaking in April and May. You've certainly heard of Babylon. It was the capital of the great Babylonian Empire, founded over 4,000 years ago on the banks of the Euphrates. Babylon became one of the most powerful cities under the command of Hammurabi. The southwestern borders of Asia, like Iran, were established with the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, after World War I. The treaty established an agreement between Turkey, France for its mandate in Syria, and the United Kingdom for its mandate in Iroquois water use and infrastructure construction. In 1946, an agreement determined that Turkey would inform Iraq about any changes in the flow of the Tigris-Euphrates system, and Iraq was authorized to build dams on Turkish land to control the flow of the Euphrates. In the 1970s, Turkey began the Southeastern Anatolia project to use the river's waters for irrigation and electricity production. The first dams were Keben and Ataturk. In 1975, a severe drought drastically reduced the river's flow, leading Iraq to threaten to bomb the Ataturk Dam, causing international tensions. Iraq and Syria finally reached an agreement after intervention by Saudi Arabia and the Soviet Union. The construction of dams and irrigation systems on the Euphrates had a significant impact on the environment and culture of each country along its banks. Since then, dams built to fill the space between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers destroyed 400 villages, forcing about 200,000 people to move. In recent years, the river's water level has dangerously fallen. The amount of water flowing from Turkey to Syria is less than 200 cubic meters per second, less than half of what the two countries agreed upon in 1987. Recent photos taken along the banks of the Euphrates show that much of the river has dried up. These places, once vital for the people living there, are now deserts. Images of the second largest dam on the Euphrates River in Syria, the Rojava Dam, show that the river's water level has decreased considerably. Due to Turkey using the Euphrates as a weapon against Syria, it has for years cut off water flow to Iraq and Syria. In 1987, the governments of Damascus and Ankara signed an agreement that determined Turkey should send 500 cubic meters of water per second to Syria. However, the invading country is not complying with the agreement, releasing only 200 cubic meters per second. On the ground, it's easy to see how low the water levels are. Due to the shortage, water levels in Syria's dams have decreased, as well as the production and supply of electricity. Moreover, there is less land along the Euphrates available for agriculture. The most concerning issue is that it is becoming increasingly difficult to obtain drinking water. Many people are getting sick due to this situation. The independent government of northern and eastern Syria has warned that the Turkish government's plan to reduce the level of the Euphrates River would cause humanitarian crises and endanger the lives of 9 million Syrians living along the river. Those responsible for the dams in northern and eastern Syria have called on human rights groups and the world to stop Turkey's actions. But there is a growing concern about the rapid disappearance of the ancient river. Geologists are also alarmed by the dropping water levels. It's difficult to determine the cause of this serious problem. The UN has also warned that heat waves have worsened in the Mediterranean region. Lake Assad is suffering from this cycle and, according to the Global Climate Danger Index, Syria is one of the most at-risk countries. Some people believe this is related to the book of Revelation in the Bible, as there aren't many clear reasons for the river drying up. Few are surprised by the change, as they believe it will occur as predicted in the Bible. What scares people the most is that the biblical prediction of the end of the world seems to be happening before their eyes. Many believe that important parts of the book of Revelation indicate that Iraq will play a key role in the end times. In chapter 16, verse 12 of the book of Revelation, the Euphrates is mentioned. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. According to this verse in the Bible, the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the Euphrates River, and because of the contents of the bowl, the river dried up. Most of the world's water has been lost or contaminated by past judgments. This choice does not seem to be related to worsening water quality or preventing its use. Instead, it appears to be related to bringing down a defensive barrier so that the kings from the east can attack. The Bible refers to the Euphrates as the Great River 5 times. It marked where the land of Israel ended to the east. Israel was safe because it was difficult to cross the river, and there was a desert between them and Canaan, the promised land to the west. It runs many kilometers toward Palestine before turning east towards the Persian Gulf. In the century when Revelation was written, the Euphrates separated the west from the east. The kingdoms of China and India were to the east of it. Long ago, Cyrus's army of Persia conquered Babylon by diverting the course of the Euphrates River that ran through the city. With the riverbed dry, they could march into Babylon and conquer it. During the Great Tribulation, an enemy from the east will cross the Euphrates, march through Babylon, and enter Palestine. In Revelation chapter 9, verse 14, God tells the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. In Exodus chapter 27, verse 2, John hears a voice coming from the 4 corners of the bronze altar. This voice orders the bronze altar. Sixth angel with the trumpet to release the 4 angels who were bound at the Euphrates, which used to be the border between Israel and Assyria. In Revelation, we are reminded that God is in control of everything, whether He allows it or causes it to happen. In the end times, evil will never go unpunished. We know they are demons because it says they are bound. Demons are angels who fell from heaven and often live in chains of darkness. It is believed that sin has something to do with the Euphrates Valley, where these 4 angels are being kept captive. It's very likely that the first murder occurred near the Garden of Eden in the Euphrates Valley. Recently, it has been said that strange voices come from the bottom of a river that is drying up. This might be a way to show that this path is safe. This makes it easier for people to believe that current events are a sign that Christ will return to defeat His enemies and establish His heavenly kingdom. A meeting of the Watchers was recently held by Joseph Kabula, who is the pastor of the Watchman Ministry. There, he told the people of Uganda to be alert for the end of the world. Joseph Kabula said at the 2022 Watchers meeting, "We are here today to tell you things that will shock you." And he delivered on that promise. He clarified the confusing biblical prophecies and showed that many of the Bible's predictions about the end of the world have already come true. One of the most recent predictions about the end of the world that has come true is that the Dead Sea will come back to life. The Dead Sea has no marine life, plants, or animals. It is also known as the saltiest sea on earth. But in Ezekiel 47, God told the prophet Ezekiel that the water would be cleansed again and that living beings could live in it. In 2016, freshwater fish nurseries were found along its shores, proving that this prediction was correct. Kabula provided more information about the terrible battle that Ezekiel 38 and Revelation 9 say will happen near the Euphrates River in the last days. The Bible says that 200 million people from Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, as well as Gog and Magog, Russia, China, and the former Soviet Union, they will fight together against Israel. He also says that if an army of 200 million people takes Israel, Israel will have to use nuclear weapons or risk being wiped off the face of the earth. According to Revelation, chapter 16, verse 12, the Euphrates River will dry up, facilitating the movement of soldiers during this battle. And guess what? The river is drying up this year, which also made this prediction come true. If nothing is done, experts say the river will disappear forever by the year 2040, which would be an unprecedented loss for the entire world. Because the war causes damage never seen before, the whole world will help the warring sides make a temporary peace agreement. Kabula says that's why Daniel's 7-year peace promise, chapter 9, verse 27, will be signed. The Bible says that after 7 years, people will no longer be in control and Jesus will return. Today, the drying of the Euphrates can be seen as a sign of the times, as described in the book of Revelation. There, the drying of the river is symbolic, paving the way for the East and marking the way for the kings of the East and marking the final battle between good and evil. Through the 7 seals and bowls of the apocalypse, divine judgments are revealed, with each bowl representing a catastrophic event and a step closer to the final judgment. Our journey through the spiritual and historical significance of the Euphrates River leads us to reflect on the interconnection between natural phenomena and biblical prophecies. As we watch these events unfold in our time, we are reminded of the constant evolution of our world and the role we play in it. Want to know more about the relationship between the drying of the Euphrates and biblical prophecies? Leave your comment, share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating content like this. In the next video, we will explore even more deeply the implications of these events and how they connect with ancient history and modern beliefs. People have started to talk about how they are concerned and how they never thought the new information would make sense. The most likely explanation for the river comes from the Bible, but other ideas suggest that what is happening along the Euphrates is related to political goals and climate change. Are the prophecies becoming reality, or is the river just drying up because of climate change? What is your opinion on the matter? Leave it in the comments.